Daily Broadside, day 559. I was watching something about conjoined twins, or as they used to be called, Siamese twins. I don't think that's the proper vernacular these days, but conjoined twins. And I was researching some stuff while I was watching, and it made me think. I was like, how often are these things born, these humans, born with, a boy and a girl? Because you don't ever see that. It's always the same sex, right? And from the little research that I put into this matter, it appears that is very, 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 there's only a couple instances that are even known where it's a boy and a girl. And I gotta say, whoever it is, whatever being or creation or, ethereal establishment that makes people be people in this world, and you can fill in the blank as to what you believe that is. But whoever makes people, I just gotta thank them for that being a typically almost always same-sex thing, because I couldn't imagine a more awkward puberty than being attached to my 15-year-old sister. Could you imagine having to bathe with your sister and go out on a date with your sister? I mean, just nothing with that. And her too. She couldn't imagine being attached to a 15-year-old boy. 15-year-old boys just stink. They're just nasty creations. They haven't figured out what it is about life that makes them more appealing to the opposite sex. For the most part, they're gross creations, and they've got to find their way. I think girls become disgusting in college and then find their way, but they start off girls go on this clean, get to college, nasty, just wake up, blowing a guy she just met, waking up and vomit with her hair in her hair, just all this nasty stuff, right? And guys to some extent do, but women really, they go off the deep end in college, and then they find their way and they settle out, and like a ship, they've righted themselves. Whereas guys just start off on this nasty roller coaster, and then they get to their denouement, their nadir, if you will, and they plateau, and then they figure out, okay, cologne, soap, deodorant, all right, it all works, odor eaters for my shoes, everything. It has to happen. But again, I'm glad that conjoined twins, as much of a miserable hell that must be, and I feel for every one of those people that sadly don't usually live very long, but what a weird walk in life. But just at least know that at least you're conjoined to the same sex, because that would be weird. I've been watching Tommy Lee play drums and act like he's so cool for the last, the better part of, 30, 40 years, right? And there's a couple things that I don't like about Tommy. Tommy Lee is an average, above average rock drummer. That's all he'll ever be, whatever. But there's two things that I don't like about him, and that is he overcusses. He's an overcusser. He's just, whether he's up on stage or he's doing an interview, it's just F this and F that. And you can use the F word too many times. It just doesn't have the same effect. So quit being an overcusser. It doesn't make you sound more palatable and cool, okay? But the more important thing that just irks me, and I can't understand what it is, because it's not like he's got some tooth up here that sticks out from what I can tell, but he's got this part of his lip that just sticks. It rolls over. You know how people can flip their eyelids inside out and they look all cool, and you're like, that's kind of cool. I did it one time, and I was scared I couldn't get it back. It took me quite a few minutes to flip it, because I know a guy who can flip his eyelids. But it's like his lip is just flipped inside out when he talks, and it's like his lip gets caught on something that's not there. It makes no sense, drives me nuts, and that's all that I have to say about that. I don't understand people that go to these feeding zoos. I was discussing this with someone last night, and I don't get it, man. I don't want to go. I don't care if I had a 1986 Nissan Sentra with 500,000 miles on it that I'd never cleaned. I don't want barley nuggets and oat treats and whatever the crap these people are these horses and llamas and alpacas and pigs, whatever these people that stick their entire body into your car and just you feed them out of a bucket, and the bucket just goes everywhere, and there's just barley treats everywhere. I don't want barley treats in my car. It looks like a big box of muesli, like grape nuts or something. And I like grape nuts. Grape nuts are good. You couldn't have paid me when I was a kid to eat a grape nut, because there wasn't no grape, there wasn't no nut, as some comedian once said. But they're not bad, really. But grape nuts do have, I'm sure, some amount of sugar or sugar substitute that makes them a little bit more desirable than just barley nuggets that just taste as bland as just eating a dogwood leaf. You know what I mean? poor deer and all these people that got to eat all this bland food their whole life. Golly. I was eating a persimmon off of a tree last night in my yard while I was burning some stuff, and just picking, not off the tree, but off the ground, because you're not supposed to eat them off the tree. They're real tart. But I'm sitting there eating persimmons off the ground like a true country weirdo, right? And I'm sitting there thinking, the deer, you could tell the deer come through there, and they've got this path through the back of my property. And I'm like, man, they must love these persimmons after eating all these dogwood leaves and everything, because that is just a crazy thing that you'd have to eat, just bland leaves and sticks and twigs, and then you stumble upon something as delightful as a persimmon, and you're like, ooh, that kind of thing. I was talking to a guy 2 days ago who I know who for quite a while like managed a movie theater, like one of the really nice ones, like a Carmike or whatever that other big one is. But he was telling me, I said, dude, what is up with these recliners and these seat heaters and all this? These chairs are huge. I'm like, y'all got to pay $1 million for this. One of those chairs got to be $2,000, $3,000 easy, I'm sure, with the markup in furniture that there exists in this world. But the bigger thing is like, y'all got to buy 400 of them at a time. That's a huge investment to recoup, even on a $20 ticket. I was like, where does the money come in? And he's like, little secret in the industry. I'm like, ooh, I love a secret in the industry. And he says those were actually put in a lot more, not more for convenience to draw people in as much as it was to cut down on the oral sex. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, it's a lot more difficult to, let's just say, copulate another person in a theater when you're 2 feet away from them. And I'm like, that does make some sense, because they are like extraordinarily wide. Like, they don't need to be that far apart. I got a recliner at the house, and if I bought another one and put them next to each other, I'd be able to brush arms with the person. But this one, you got like the Rock of Gibraltar in between you. It's just like a huge like Bering Strait, between you and the next chair. And I never thought about the fact that you sit down in those new chairs, and you're like, this is nice and heated, and man, you can't even come close to getting oral sex in this theater anymore. That just never crossed my mind. But then again, I'm an adult and I own a home, so maybe that changes the complexity of where you need to go to do such things. But anyway, just put that in your pipe and smoke it. Have a great day, Giddy.